Welcome, listeners. I'm happy that you're here. And I feel so grateful that Kathleen Judge took some time to come on Doing Life Different. And Kathleen is a new friend of mine. I know a little bit about her, but she's going to share her authentic story. And what we're talking about today is finances. And I know, don't turn this off because sometimes when I hear that, I want to turn it off, but it's more than that. This podcast is about helping you through hard times. And I know, Kathleen, in my own journey, I've had to do a lot of work in the finance area of kind of being like, a believable thought of I am a woman learning about finances. And that's why
Sure.
I've got you on today, because whether you're going through a divorce, and I know Kathleen will share her story about that, or you just want to be more involved in the finances, or maybe you're on your own and you're like, what should I be doing with my money? So this is kind of for everyone. So, Kathleen,
Absolutely.
thank you for being here and welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. It really is an honor to be here. I love your podcast. It's so uplifting and such a great way to help people who are going through hard times. We need each other. We need to lean
Mhm.
on each other and help each other through that. So I'm really honored to be here and share my story and I certainly hope that it helps some of your listeners.
I know that it will. So you just share. Tell us what your story is.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll try to get there's of course a long, a medium, and a short version.
We're
So
good with
I'll
whatever. You just
okay.
go.
Okay. So I am a financial advisor with Edward Jones, and my focus is really helping people make smart financial decisions so that they can lead their very best lives, meaning they're able to take care of themselves, their family, and their loved ones the way that they really want to be able to take care of them. And that includes, of course, investment management. It also includes ensuring that we're mitigating taxes, ensuring that we have an estate plan so that your heirs are taken care of the way they should be, includes protecting your wealth so that if you do go through a divorce or uh, litigation, that your wealth is protected. So it's really all encompassing. It's very comprehensive, I should say. And that's just to kind of level set to give your audience a feel for what I do on a daily basis.
Well, and Kathleen, as you're talking through this, it kind of hit me over the head. It really is, you really need to have someone to talk this through with because it's very personal.
It is very,
Right? Like, it's
very personal.
so dependent on what you value and what you want. So, and if I can tell this audience, if there is anything that I can help you with today, one thing that has changed my life is knowing what I want. And if you can know
Yes.
what you want for your future in your finances when you go in to meet with Kathleen or a financial advisor, I just think that's going to be so amazing.
I love that so much, Lisa, because people think of financial advisors as just investment consultants. And I think of it very, very differently. My goal is to help my clients really dig deep and articulate and identify what are the things that make them tick.
Mhm.
Why is it that they want to help a child with a certain project or have leaves a certain kind of legacy? Because once you are able to articulate those deep values and that deep sense of worth, then we can put together some really exciting financial strategies that bring it to life. And that's what our finances are for helping us live our best lives with no matter how much we have.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love that.
And okay, and so here's another thing that I caught about you is that you went through something difficult and learned from it, and it
Yes.
led you to do this work. So now I got to jump into what is your authentic story?
Yeah. Okay. So As I mentioned, I'm with Edward Jones, and I started with Edward Jones way back in the 90s. At that time, I was a kind of a digital marketing pioneer, and they brought me in to build the very first website. And it was a it was just a fantastic project. I was able to get a bird's eye view of the company in a really short period of time because every part of the organization is represented on the website. And so I just fell in love with the company and I really felt comfortable with their values and the way that they really do put clients' interests first. Certainly not perfect uh, by any stretch, but I fell in love with that. And so, so I was there for several years, and then we adopted twins from Ukraine.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and so I really wanted to just go to like 25 or 30 hours a week. But back then, it was all or none. And
Mhm.
so I made the choice to do something different, and we owned a construction company, and so I helped run the construction company and raise the kids, of course, and did other consulting on the side. And I ended up but my children went to, I guess, kindergarten. Yeah, kindergarten, and, it was a disaster for both of them for different reasons. My daughter had learning disabilities. She ended kindergarten hating school.
Mm.
My son had some, physical things going on that they weren't able to help with, and he ended kindergarten hating school. And it just broke my heart. Those early years are really the purpose is to instill a love of learning. And so we took a step back, and it was actually my husband who said, Kathleen, I think you should homeschool until we find the right place. And I was like, what? You are crazy. I am no more meant to, I am a corporate woman. I am not meant to homeschool. And so he was like, well, just think about it and pray about it. And so 2 weeks later, I was just absolutely, God I felt like he was telling me, he gave me the green light. And so I had a 180 turnaround and I was like, okay, I want to homeschool.
Okay, Kathleen, I love you so much. I knew this was gonna be good for so many reasons. So I adopted my baby. So,
Oh,
yeah, I have 2 older ones, and then we adopted our baby. I too homeschooled for a short period of time, and my daughter will tell you no child should be homeschooled by me because I really took it seriously. But Kathleen, there's so many cool things about you. For one, back in the 90s, you were designing a website. Lady, you're cutting edge because I'm remembering the 90s. I don't even
oh
know if I
yeah.
had a computer. I
Oh, we made the news.
don't.
We did.
That's so awesome.
Oh
So awesome.
gosh.
Okay. So let's keep going on this journey here. So, and I know, so I only did homeschooling for 1 semester, and it was because we were transitioning schools. I kind of didn't know what to do. I have a dear friend who was like, I can hardly read a book, and she felt God calling her to homeschool, and she did an amazing job.
Oh,
But it was hard.
it's very
She was
hard.
like, this isn't really what I want to do, but this is what I'm being called to do. So God bless you. And okay, keep going.
Well, the best way that he has ever kept me on my knees, God has kept me on my knees, is through homeschooling. Let me tell you, by far the hardest job I've ever had.
Yeah.
But I went into it thinking, okay, it's just going to be a year and we'll find the right spot.
Mhm.
Well, 1 year turned into 2, turned into 3, turned into 4, and pretty soon we finished 8th grade.
Wow. Yay.
And so, it was a fantastic experience, and I e e have, of course, so much I could say. We could do a whole
Podcast on that.
podcast just on that, yes.
Well, and Kathleen, I think that back in the day when you were doing it, it wasn't so widely accepted. You
No.
were like, I was kind of a weirdo. I've been known as a
Yeah.
weirdo because I can just fly around, but it's like God'll put something in my heart
Yeah.
and I just can't not do it,
Yeah, right.
you know?
Well, and in my situation, both my kids had some issues, and so my daughter with these significant learning disabilities, very intelligent,
Mhm.
just these significant learning disabilities, and she just the public school system was not a fit. The private
Mhm.
school system was not a fit. And then the homeschool curriculum is really meant for people like me. I learn, like I test fine. I can memorize stuff,
Right.
give me a worksheet and I'm happy. But that is not her. And so God put in my path a gentleman who spent his entire career in education. He had a PhD in elementary education and he retired and had a heart for children who were being homeschooled with learning disabilities.
Oh,
I know, right? And
yes.
so, I mean, how many people are like that in the world? Like, he's probably the only one. And so we traded. He did all of my consulting for the kids' education, and I did his marketing. And
Cool.
it was fantastic. And I just saw so much growth in my kids, and it was just a fantastic experience. Um, but kind of fast forward, if you will, to 2010, and I very unexpectedly got divorced. Um,
Ugh.
yeah, I know people say, if you look back, you can always see the signs, you can always see it coming, and I have just looked under every rock and crevice of my memory, and I really did not see it coming. Um, but anyway, um, so we divorced in
So you're
2010.
homeschooling these kids, you're
Yeah.
doing the marketing and trade.
Yeah, so I've been out of the workforce now for at least 12 years.
Man.
And, um, yeah, and suddenly responsible for mine and my children's futures.
Which I'm
And
gonna guess, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm gonna guess it's not something that you wanted, or something
well,
that you would have picked, maybe.
so it's kind of interesting because when we got married right out of college, and I always had the aptitude for finances from when I was very young. I knew how to save and I knew how to spend. It just came naturally to me, and I enjoyed that. However, our marriage just didn't work that way. My
Mm.
husband made the decisions, and I I I think I would have well, I know I would have preferred to have been much more involved, and looking back now, I see how much power I gave up by not really inserting myself um, and, eh, making sure that my priorities and my values were being represented. So when we got divorced, I was of course, I felt terrible. I don't know, do you remember, a Saturday Night Live character, the the big guy who, had this skit where he's like, "I live in a van down by the river."
Yeah.
And that's what I had pictured in my mind is, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna end up living in a van down
Oh,
by the river." No, but, I mean, your mind goes to crazy places, but I knew I could pull it together. I knew I was capable, and I also knew I needed help. I
yep.
could not do it on my own.
Well, and Kathleen, I gotta stop you for a second because as you're talking about this, I'm thinking about, yes, this is for people who are going through a divorce and afraid because they don't know what to do with their money, but it's also for all of us who are
Oh,
in marriages.
absolutely.
And what I have been learning, which is, painful to my husband probably a little bit, is how to set these boundaries.
Mhm. It
No, I wanna be involved, and
Yes.
this is mine too. So even
Yes.
though you probably created way more. I mean, the retirement plan, that's all him. But I was the one there. I mean, I can't
Right.
imagine what I could have done with my life if I had a wife.
Right.
I don't
Right.
So I'm not gonna say that's not mine, but
Yes.
it what still can frustrate me, Kathleen, and so I need to work through this. So I'm just gonna sit in the chair. I usually don't like to talk about things I'm not healed over until I heal, but
Oh,
it's
go for
happening now.
it, go for it.
But
Let's heal. Let's
yeah,
heal
let's
together.
heal. So one thing that can be tricky is so I take care of all of our finances, but I
Mhm.
can't call for any of the stocks or the
Sure.
funding because it's all
Mhm.
him. And
Mhm.
he's so darn busy. It's not that he doesn't allow me to, but he hasn't even done the paperwork to allow me to talk to people to get work done.
Mhm. Right.
It's frustrating.
Yes. So, and that is very common, Lisa, and I find people coming to me, both male and female, and with a whole range of emotions around that. Some women feeling ashamed that they don't know as much as they feel like they should know, or they don't know as much as their husband. And I just want to say that is not, there is no shame in not understanding financial strategies. I don't know how to do surgery on myself, and
Right.
nobody would expect me to know that. And for some reason our culture and our society has kind of put this on women that we just don't know, and we don't need to know, and maybe we don't have an aptitude, and so if a financial advisor ever makes you feel like that, run the other way.
Yeah.
And I have had multiple in fact, I think in the last year I've had 3 couples come to me because the the husband, well, of course, the wife was uncomfortable with how their financial advisors the team was dealing with them. They were, ignoring her viewpoints, not inquiring of her wants and wishes, speaking over her head intentionally. And the husband recognized that this is not a good situation, because he's going to pass before she does. Statistically, there's almost no way around it. He's going to pass before she does. And if she's not at least comfortable with her financial advisor, that's a whole new layer of stress that you have to deal with, and your spouse has just passed.
Yeah.
And so they have come to me and said, the in a couple cases, in 2 of the cases, the wife, she'll come in and say, "Okay, I understand about, maybe, 25% of what you're saying." And I'm like, "That's great.
Right.
Stop me, ask me, let's talk about this." And then over time, they learn more and more and become more and more comfortable. But I think more than anything, we build up trust
Yeah.
to where both he and her, they both have trust in me that I want what's best for them. I want to know what they want, and then I want to help put together financial strategies to help them get there.
Right. Well, and okay, so now I'm kind of going back to how beautiful it was that that husband came to you and spoke up. But
Yes.
this is what I want to say. Not everybody has that.
No,
And
it's rare. It's rare.
it's rare, and we need to we need to learn to do that for ourselves, right?
Yes, I
So
agree.
we need to put your hand on your chest and say, I am a woman learning finances. I am
Yes.
worthy. I am loved. I am, created for greatness. And you go into that
Mhm.
financial planner and you ask the questions. Don't, you take
Absolutely.
some deep breaths so that you can be in the framework where you're actually learning, because you can learn this. And you want to know what
Mhm.
else? It's not that hard.
Well,
I
you know
think
what? We can do hard things.
we can do hard things, and I think the hardest part of it is the shame. I think I felt so much shame. I don't know how to take
Right.
care of finances. I'm not good at
Uh,
it. I just like to shop and spend money or whatever. That's not
it
true. That
It's
is
not
not true.
true.
No.
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 No, it's not at all. It's an absolute lie. And I will also say I've done so much research on women and finances, and, one fact that's really proven out is that women are loyal and they don't wanna rock the boat. And so we have a harder time saying to our husbands, "Listen, I want in. I want in on our finances," and really forcing that hand. It can be very hard to do, and sometimes it means, like with the 3 couples I mentioned that came to me this year, it means a change of a financial team
Mhm.
because, because the relationship should not just be with one person in the marriage. The relationship needs to be with both.
Amen. And I feel so grateful. I would work with you if I didn't already have a friend that I was working with. And he is someone that I worked with on mediations and liked him, and really, and believe it or not, we never had a financial advisor. My husband, he wanted to do it all on his own. We really ended up not doing as much planning as we probably should have. I mean, he
Mhm.
was real good about putting the money away, so we're fine. I'm like, retire Johnny Cakes. It's time, but so I feel extremely comfortable with my financial advisor. And I think there's something to be said for me being the one to take the initiative. So I'm just going to say,
Mhm.
Kathleen, if there are women out there and maybe you don't have an advisor yet, or you're not liking yours, take the step. Reach out to Kathleen. Now I need to understand you're in Missouri. Is that right? I'm in Wisconsin right now, but I
Yeah,
work in Minnesota. Do you work everywhere? Do
I
you just work
do.
there?
I
Oh,
have
great.
clients all over the country, California, Colorado, Arizona, Florida, I all over the country. I do take clients, and serve clients everywhere. So, geography is not really a
Mhm.
barrier these days. It's just not.
Which I think
Um,
is a blessing,
it
right? I
is a
mean,
blessing, and
that's one of
in
the
fact,
blessings.
my last several referrals have been people who are out of state.
Mhm.
So, a existing client that's happy and they have referred someone that lives out of state. And it works fine. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I don't go into the office of my financial advisor.
right.
You don't need to do that anymore.
No, you really don't.
Uh-uh. Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. And I would recommend that people contact you. So we will have your contact information
That's great.
in our show notes. But I do have a little question about these are kind of different times.
Mhm.
And I want to ask you for your expert opinion on
Mhm.
things that we can be doing. And I gotta say, it's such an odd time. And I remember hearing when I was younger that this is the first generation, our children are the
Mhm.
first generation who will not do as well as their parents.
Right.
That's hard
It's
because my
really hard.
son and daughter-in-law have 2 babies. My oldest daughter is a medical doctor and her husband's an engineer and they have a baby, and it's everything is different. The
It
cost
is.
of houses compared to what they're earning, and
Mhm.
yet they strive to
Mhm.
create the life that they had, or
Right.
that their father was able to provide to his children. And I gotta mention my Sophia, my baby that I adopted by far. She's just in college now having fun. So
Oh, good for her.
yeah, she's good. So she's not so tied
Mhm.
down with all this. She's still like, you know,
Mhm.
living
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
that's not reality yet. But that is something that's real. And
Yes.
I can't imagine being back then and feeling like you're working so hard, but you can't give your children. which we know
Mhm.
that stuff isn't important. The main thing is
Mhm.
the love, the attention, the
Right.
but what do people do in this economy? What would you advise?
Right. So, excuse me. First, I want to say one thing before I forget, and that is that for your listeners today, if anyone wants me to do a stress test on their portfolio, I would be happy to do that. So, I take a look at your finances and put it through rigorous tests and say, okay, what parts of your strategies hold up under different types of circumstances? And it's just a treasure trove of information. So before I forget, I want to put that out
Yeah,
there.
I
And
appreciate that. Yes.
yeah. And then for the younger generation, it is tough. My son and his wife are expecting, and they have been looking for their first home, their starter home, and they each time get outbid.
Well, and it's crazy because my daughter finished her residency and couldn't sell their home in Iowa City. And so they couldn't buy anything here. So they had to rent.
Right.
And
Right.
then but now they're having trouble selling.
Mhm.
It's a townhouse, and they're
Mhm.
having trouble selling it, which you when they came in like 4 years ago, we had to, they had to buy it sight unseen because things were
Mhm.
flying. It's just
Right.
it's so crazy and dependent on, what level of home you're looking at, but
Yes. Well, so my overall advice for that generation, and I think this goes for everyone, is again going back to having conversations with your spouse, or if you're on your own, conversations with yourself about what are your priorities? What are
Mhm,
your values
mhm.
around money? What are your values in your life? And then let yourself, let your mind just explore. Okay, what are the things that are really, really important to me? What are
Mhm.
the things that if when I leave this world, what do I want to be known for?
Yes.
What are the things that when I'm on my deathbed, I want to be grateful that I did? And
Yep.
so really thinking about life in those big important ways, and then you can start to visualize it with goals. You can say, whatever that may be based on your values
Mhm.
and based on your goals. And then you can put the financial strategies in place to get there.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
a young couple, they wanted to they wanted to upsize. They, are in the tiny little house, and they're gonna have some kids, and they wanted to upsize. Well, after going through, some, uh I have an, established process that I use, and after going through this established process, they realized that their her parents are in Wisconsin and not healthy, and they love Wisconsin, and the parents live on a lake, and that the most important thing to them right now is to have a place in Wisconsin on the lake near her parents. And they still want a footprint here in St. Louis, but it dramatically changed what
Yeah.
they had come in thinking that they were going to do. They were thinking, "We're gonna sell our house and buy a new big house."
Mhm.
Instead, they sold their house, bought a smaller house, and then bought a lake house
Uh,
in Wisconsin. And
Kathleen,
so
I love that, and you know what? You just beautifully circled this whole conversation kinda back to what we said at the beginning. You need to know what you want,
mhm,
and, we
absolutely.
said that if there's anything you get out of this, sit down and think through and talk
Yes,
to your partner.
yes.
Um, about what do you really want, and
Yes.
then you're ready. I love that. You're ready to start planning and moving
Mhm.
forward.
And, a lot of that turns into marriage counseling sessions.
Yes. Amen. Yep. Yep.
Which is great. That conversation, you do need to go through some tough conversations usually to
And,
get on the same page,
Kathleen,
and
what I
that's
have
fine.
yep, and what I have learned is that if you have someone that's not willing to have that conversation with you,
Mhm.
you'll see, but what I've found is when you work on yourself and you start to think, "This is what I want," and you work on setting your boundaries, either a lot of times that person's gonna jump on and join you,
Mhm.
or they're not,
Right.
and that's gonna be telling too.
Yeah.
But whatever way, it's so important to start with you.
It absolutely is, and,
Yeah,
I think had I been more, vocal in my first marriage about my needs and wants early on, not that we wouldn't have ended in divorce, we may have ended in divorce a little sooner,
yeah,
and, and then I would have had more time, um doing the things financially that support my goals and values.
right. Well,
But
and
it all turned out fine. We're in a great place, and I'm grateful for my ex-husband, and I'm grateful for the position that I'm in, and I'm really grateful that I went through all of that because it gave me a heart. I never thought I'd be a financial advisor, but
mhm,
it gave me a heart to help others who are in the same situation. And
yeah,
so I feel like this is the work I'm supposed to be doing.
amen,
And
and
it never would have happened.
yep, and so in that sense, everything happened just as it should.
Yes, it did.
I mean, yeah, you can look back and say that about many things, but we are right where we need to be
Yeah.
right now as
Yeah.
part of God's plan. He
Yeah.
has a plan and it's unraveling before our eyes, and so
Yeah.
yeah, I think this has been such a lovely conversation, Kathleen. I'm so thankful that I got to talk to you today, and I want to stay connected to you.
Well, likewise.
And so maybe we can do this again.
I'd love to. I'd
Yeah.
love
So,
to. There's so many financial topics we can explore around this.
yep,
I would love to
absolutely.
do this again.
And listeners, if there is something that you're interested in hearing more about from Kathleen, send me a little note, message me because we could dig deeper into something specific too. So I just have truly enjoyed getting to know you. You are a beautiful soul, and thank
Oh.
you. Thank you for
Oh,
being here.
thank you. It's such a pleasure. I appreciate it, Lisa.
You take good care.
Okay, you too.